So it's official. JP Morgan is the first large-scale institution in the United States that is now accepting cryptocurrency, specifically Bitcoin and Ethereum, as collateral for lending. Who is it for? What's a little bit of backdrop on the opportunity around this? And what does this mean for the overall space for crypto is what we're going to cover in this live stream. For those of you who are not familiar, who are brand new, I'm JP, the founder and architect of the channel. I am not a crypto expert, but I am a financial expert. I've been in the banking space for over 10 years, in the financial space totally over 12 years now. I am in business banking, I am in consumer banking, mortgage lending, I have a FINRA investment license, etc. So I'm covering this more from the mainstream financial news perspective, not necessarily as a crypto expert, but this is a big deal for those of you who are interested or invested in crypto, or those of you who are curious about crypto. And this is important for the overall shift in the financial system and the banking system. So as I just stated in the intro, JP Morgan has flipped its tone, Jamie Dimon in particular, and now will be accepting Bitcoin and Ethereum as collateral in lending. This is going to be specifically at this time for institutional clients. So for those of you who are curious, basically the rich, think hedge funds, large corporations, institutions of this magnitude, sovereign wealth funds. Going to be really, really large institutions that that are going to be able to exercise this new upgrade in the collateral space for lending. So this is not going to be for mom and pop, investors. This is not going to be for mom and pop business owners or individuals on Main Street yet. But this is a sign of the mainstream adoption for cryptocurrency coming into the financial sector. Something important I think that we need to talk about as we talk about this mainstream adoption is the backdrop to the inception of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, because there's a big fanatical base of individuals and entities that believe cryptocurrency to be like this, this mythical investment opportunity. And to some extent that may be true, but I think it's important for us to understand some context. So I want to give you a little bit of context/history for those of you who may not be as familiar. Those of you coming into the live stream, make sure you let me know you're in the building. Leave a like, leave a thumbs up, support the channel. And just drop in the chat and let me know you're in the building. For those of you catching the replay, get in the chat down below, the comment section down below. Let me know you're in the building still. Make sure you like the video, support. So again, we're going to be covering, for those of you coming in new, we're going to be covering the fact that JP Morgan Chase has now decided, after years of bashing cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, they are now going to allow Bitcoin and Ethereum to be used as collateral in the lending transactions with their institutional clients. Shout out to y'all. Make sure y'all leave a like when y'all coming in the building. Let me know you're in the building in the chat. Travis Scott, that's funny. I'll take that as a compliment. How y'all doing? What's going on? But yeah, so that's big news. Mainstream adoption of crypto in the United States is taking place. JP Morgan is the largest financial institution in the country, and they're going to be allowing institutional clients, institutional investors to use crypto as collateral for lending, meaning that they will be able to collateralize their crypto holdings to get access to capital. So this is a big deal. What's going on, y'all? How y'all doing? So this is, make sure y'all leave a like as y'all come in the building. So this is big. Some quick backdrop for those of you who may not be as familiar, and some of you who may be like really, really big into crypto can kind of back this up in the chat. But at the end of the day, cryptocurrency came into inception, at least the mainstream narrative, in 2009, right after the 2008 crisis, Bitcoin to be exact. What makes it different from any other investment opportunity is when you think about the stock market, when you think about real estate, when you think about precious metals, every single one of these avenues to invest or asset classes they either have mainstream utilization or utility, and or they were designed or easily used as investment vehicles. This is kind of a standard for any of those time-tested asset classes, right? And again, like stock market, real estate, precious metals, etc. When you think about these things, they were intended to allow for investment. They have mainstream utilization, so utility like real estate does or precious metals does. The stock market was designed to be able to raise capital for companies and allow those who help provide that capital to get a return on their money. Crypto was not designed in any of those fashions, like in any way. Cryptocurrency was designed to buck the system. It came into inception right after the 2008 crash. And the manifesto on crypto basically broke down that it was intended to create the transparency and the finite resource to create the integrity that the financial system had lost. So it was intended to really buck the system and to be a counterbalance and, dare I say, a revolution to the existing order of things, financially speaking. So it was intended to challenge the dollar. It was intended to challenge, the government and the mainstream financial institutions that, you know, certain entities believe. Think a libertarian mindset, somebody who believes in small government, some people who believe in no government, anarchist style mentalities. It was designed to get outside of the mainstream financial system and to create transparency and to create a space where people could transact amongst themselves without having to deal with the regulations of the government or the illegitimacy of the financial system in those people's eyes, right? So this is important because cryptocurrency was not born to just be a mainstream adopted investment vehicle. That wasn't what it was born for. It was born for those with the technical prowess and the ideology that they didn't believe in the current financial system. They didn't believe in the dollar. They didn't believe in the petrodollar system. They didn't believe in, governments printing money out of thin air and printing it out of existence, essentially, and inflating, and central banks manipulating the interest rates. They didn't believe in these things. And that's where crypto really came from. That was the manifesto when it was first launched or brought to the mainstream in 2009, if you will, or brought to our attention. And so it's important to understand that it wasn't designed necessarily to be something that, everybody's going to get this fair chance to invest in and make a bunch of money. Cryptocurrency was designed to be, a safe haven for those who did not believe in the current financial order. You guys can comment down below and let me know, your understanding of that, your thoughts or your curiosities or questions. But that is the real backdrop to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And since that point in time, it has, basically been manipulated in a lot of different ways in the last 15 or 16 years since its inception. Now the mainstream system really rejected it for years, at least in front of us, they did. So you had the Jamie Dimons of the world, you had different government officials, you had financial, big hedge fund managers. You had a lot of important people at one point in time who were saying that, it has no utility, it's useless, it's a scam, it's a Ponzi scheme. Those same individuals now, some of them, especially again, Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan Chase, are singing a different tune. Now they're willing to accept it as collateral for lending with institutional investors, meaning really, really large, again, hedge funds, sovereign wealth funds, like people with entities with big money. So what that basically means, the current administration, President Trump came into his campaign promising America to be the crypto capital of the world. And you see now this mainstream adoption with your biggest bank in the country now allowing, cryptocurrency to be collateral for lending at scale. And this is going to trickle its way down to the retail market, AKA Main Street, people like me and you. It's going to get there over time. So what that basically means, and the reason I give this context around the crypto's history and its origin, is for you to understand crypto has a really long way to go before it finds its place in the system. The government regulations eventually are going to try to catch up to it. The financial institutions are going to try to do their best to put their personal touch on it in a way where they can keep from having all of that value that's piling into crypto get outside of their grasp, if that makes sense. If you're a mainstream traditional bank, cryptocurrency bothers you because it allows a lot of value to be poured into something that you have no control or no input on. And so JP Morgan Chase using it as collateral, behind the scenes working on their own version of a stable coin. These institutions and the government are not only seeing opportunities to adjust the financial system using digital assets like Bitcoin, et cetera, but they're also looking for an opportunity to get their hands around it in a way where they can regulate it, they can tax it, they can oversee it. And to some extent, cryptocurrency kind of needs that to an extent. It's the wild, wild west. There's a ton of transparency in the blockchain and in the distributed ledgers, right? But you can track it to here and hell and back. But at the end of the day, tracking it and being able to stop somebody from stealing it is two different things. You also have people who, because the space is finite and it's relatively small, you have a lot of, large holders of Bitcoin, for instance, that are able to move it or move the price of Bitcoin by buying and selling at scale. And they're able to basically manipulate the market just because there's such large players and there's no regulation stopping them from doing so. So cryptocurrency, Bitcoin is the wild, wild west, but at the same time, it is also excelled at its ability to create transparency, create a finite resource that can't be printed out of oblivion. And for those of us on the main street that are looking at cryptocurrency as a potential viable asset class, what I would recommend, if you're not already versed at this, you want to consider doing your research on how to invest in crypto. It is not. That's the reason people are either hitting lottery wins on it or they're losing their shirts in it, because it wasn't designed to be democratized as an investment. That's why it's so wild. One of the reasons it's so wild and it swings so much. It wasn't meant to be like what the stock market is today, where you can, buy these really stable index funds and ETFs and blue chip companies and all this other stuff, and really kind of control the pace of your investment. Cryptocurrency is really in its infancy, right? It's really in its infancy. And what that basically means is it's going to have a lot of wild swings left to go. There's a lot of money to still be made in it. What I recommend is trying to find ways that you already understand how to invest in it. The stock market is a good example. Investing in the stocks of crypto miners, crypto exchanges, getting into the stocks of these companies. If cryptocurrency continues to do well, these companies will do well, most likely, in return. And so, if you're looking for an opportunity to ride the wave, but not investing it in a way that you don't understand, like getting these wallets and trading it and all that kind of stuff, get into it in a way you can understand. There's mining stocks, there's exchanges, there's financial companies. I mean, now you can even look at companies like a JP Morgan Chase and other banks that will follow suit, brokerages that will follow suit, and get in with these companies and ride the wave up. Because at the end of the day, crypto will continue to be a huge opportunity as it gets mainstream adoption. But Bitcoin is finite. It is capped. So that means as the financial system and these governments continue to funnel into it and integrate it into the financial system and make it more available to more people, it's going to push the price of that crypto up. It's going to push the price of Bitcoin up, most likely. On the flip side, a lot of these institutions and the government are going to find ways to try to come out with their own stable coins so they can continue to control the narrative around crypto and control that value. And so we'll see how this plays out, if they're successful or not. There's been talks of trying to use cryptocurrency and Bitcoin to eliminate the national debt. All kind of conversations are coming up. And it's important for us to watch and monitor these things, because just like I just brought to you with JP Morgan now, just this weekend at the time of this live stream being recorded, announcing that they're allowing it to be used as collateral, tells you where this is headed as far as mainstream adoption. And we don't know how big this is going to get. So my recommendation for you is to, first off, to bring you this relatively breaking news, but it's also to get you to understand that crypto was never designed to be a democratized access for all investment opportunity. It is designed to be an alternative to counterparty risk in the financial system, to a dollar that's being butchered through, currency manipulation and things of that nature, interest rate manipulation, printed out of oblivion. It's intended to be a counterbalance or an alternative to what many see to be a, overreaching government. And so, its adoption in the financial system is going to be something we'll continue to have to monitor. But if you're looking to make money with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, if you're looking to keep up with the moves, then I recommend you continue to follow channels like myself. And I recommend that you also continue to do your research on how you can find other sensible ways to invest in it, other than just mortgaging your house and buying a bunch of crypto on some random exchange. You need to do your due diligence, because it is not regulated. There's no oversight. There's nothing in place to protect your investment when it comes to crypto. There's nothing there. So yes, it is an opportunity for you to kind of maneuver outside of the grips and grasp of the financial system and the government at the moment, if that's something you believe in. But at the end of the day, there's absolutely a place where there's no oversight, there's no recourse. If it's gone, it's gone. It don't matter how far you can track it. It's over. So make sure you're doing your due diligence, but I do recommend doing your homework in a way to find out how you can take advantage of the mainstream adoption of Bitcoin and other, really legitimate cryptocurrencies. Because as you can see, as I break this news, banks are getting into it, brokerages are getting into it. They're starting to create a product around it. They're starting to, financialize this digital asset in a way that they can start to control it and control the value around it. And for the earlier stage adopters of it, just like when Bitcoin first came out, there's going to be a wave of money made if you can get in on it at the right time and get into it the right way. So get in the chat down below. Let me know if y'all have any questions. I see some of y'all are like co-signing the things I'm saying. You understand where I'm coming from. If you have any questions before we end this live stream, let me know. But I just wanted to give some additional context. I wanted to break the news first off and then give some additional context, because after all these years now, it's going on 16 years or so since crypto or Bitcoin first came to the surface. And I think there's been a lot of confusion about what it is, where it comes from, what it was intended to do. Because again, I don't recommend, and most smart financial minds don't recommend investing in something you don't understand. And crypto was not intended to be a mainstream investment vehicle. That's not what it was about. It was an intent to revolt against the system. So comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know where you stand with cryptocurrency, with Bitcoin. What do you think about the fact that mainstream institutions like JP Morgan are now adopting crypto as a form of collateral and allowing it to be held as within financial contracts now? Let me know down below what your thoughts are, what opportunities you see, what concerns you have around this. But other than that, if you want to tie in with me on Instagram, there'll be links down below. If you want to connect with me one-to-one in any way around, consumer banking, consumer lending, real estate lending, business banking, business lending, even investment retirement accounts, you can comment down below or get in the description down below and find out the different ways I specialize and how I can work with you to help you customize your blueprint for prosperity. Other than that, I want y'all to like, comment, share, subscribe, support the video, support the live stream so this channel can continue to support you. And other than that, I want each and every one of you to stay focused, stay in motion. I'll see you all soon.